had no idea what drill rapping was, but I called my son and he sent me some videos, and it is alarming.
Hours after fans gathered in Canarsie to remember murdered drill rapper Chii Wvttz, another aspiring rapper, was also shot and killed in Brooklyn. His grieving father spoke exclusively to Fox 5.
Then that was at 2 o'clock. Then 2:39, I received another call, which was from a doctor to tell me my son was dead.
It says he was no saint, but should not have died like this.
Our hip hop is no longer hip hop anymore. And now, if you're not doing drill, you're not going to get no play.
Year before last, I had spoke to D-Thing, and I had my son on the phone, and I was standing next to D-Thing, and I'm communicating back and forth with them, telling them, like, we got to dead it. I didn't realize that things was as serious as it was. After my son died and I started really getting into all the drill stuff, I didn't know it was as serious. I thought it was just an easy little fix, y'all from the same side.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't that easy.
In February 2022, New York lost another rising star to the violence that plagues its streets. Chii Wvttz, also known as Jaquan McKinley, was a promising young talent in the Bronx drill music scene, whose life was tragically cut short. Today, we explore the story behind his rise, the conflicts that followed him, and the events that led to his untimely death. Born on March 20th, 2003 in the Bronx, Chii Wvttz grew up in the infamous neighborhood of River Park Towers, RPT. His father, who had moved to RPT from Harlem to live with his aunt after catching a robbery case, shared in an interview with Fuchsia's TV how deeply rooted the family was in the neighborhood.
So what made you move to the Bronx?
I ended up catching a case in school. Not in school, but I was going to school, coming home from school one day, I ended up doing something, catching a case. So when I came home from juvenile, from DFY, I ended up moving to River Park Towers in the Bronx. My aunt lived there since the 70s. So that's how I ended up in the Bronx.
So that's crazy. You from the RPT. That's, what I'm saying? That's like, for those who don't know, that's like D-Thing, Side, Bando, and all them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what did you catch a case for, though? Cause
that case right there was a robbery case. Yeah, it was a robbery case. I caught it at 14, went to DFY, came home almost 17, and then I ended up moving to River Park Towers.
What makes this story even more intense is that RPT is a known opposing side to Sevside DOA, the gang Chii Wvttz eventually became a part of. DOA, short for Dead on Arrival, is rooted in the East 187th Street area of the Bronx, also known as the Sev. The Sevside area has a long and complex history that predates its current affiliations. In the 1970s and 1980s, it was largely controlled by the Italian mafia, with business interests still lingering in the area. By the mid-1990s, the neighborhood saw significant demographic changes as Hispanic and Black families moved in, while many of the mobsters relocated to areas like Morris Park and Pelham Parkway. By the early 2000s, the Sevside area became a hotspot for gang activity. At one point, E187th Street was known for affiliations with East Homicide Brim, EHB, and later transitioned into a Makbala family hood. Over time, rivalries with neighboring blocks escalated, and by the 2010s, the 700 DOA set was born. The Sevside became synonymous with drill culture, producing artists who used their music to reflect the harsh realities of their lives, while also fueling conflicts with rivals. This environment shaped Chii Wvttz's upbringing and eventual affiliation with DOA. The block was a no-crip zone in earlier days, but as affiliation shifted, it became a central battleground in Bronx gang rivalries. Despite the intense history, the Sevside is a place where community ties remain strong, even amid the conflicts. Chii's father shed light on the tangled web of relationships that made his son's life both complex and dangerous. He revealed that Chii grew up with figures like T-Dot and D-Thong, attending school together in RPT.
It was kind of crazy because, you got your side that you actually grew up in. I got 26 plus years in River Park Towers. So now you got your son that's from there beefing with the people that you grew up with and their kids. Because D-Thing moms and, T-Dot moms and certain kids in there, I grew up with their parents. You know what I'm saying?
So you knew them, like
yeah, I know them. That's family.
All them moms and
those are family. That's my family, all of them, man. Little Face Mob and all of them. Those my little brothers. Taquan, little N-Dot manager, all of them. Those all family.
Despite this shared history, gang affiliations turned them into enemies. Even more shocking, C. High's father disclosed that T-Dot's mother and Face Mob were family, further illustrating how deeply intertwined these conflicts were. The father recounted an effort to mediate the situation by putting C. High and Dethang on a phone call to settle their differences. But as he admitted, serious situations like this, especially with dead members on both sides, aren't as easy as a phone call to fix.
Year before last, I had spoke to D-Thing and I had my son on the phone and I was standing next to D-Thing and I'm communicating back and forth with them, telling them, like, we got to dead it. I didn't realize that things was as serious as it was. After my son died and I started really getting into all the drill stuff, I didn't know it was as serious. I thought it was just an easy little fix, y'all from the same side.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't
Chii Wvttz' tragic story took another turn with the involvement of Paul Johnson, also known as PJ Glizzy, who was later charged with his murder. PJ Glizzy is the brother of Bronx drill rapper Chii Wvttz and a member of the Cortland Block, which had long-standing beef with DOA, C. High's gang affiliation. Cortland and DOA had been engaged in heated rivalries, and PJ Glizzy's alleged involvement in the February 6, 2022 drive-by shooting that claimed C. High's life only added fuel to this ongoing conflict. According to federal prosecutors, PJ Glizzy and his crew carried out the attack as part of a broader gang feud. On February 5, 2022, Chii Wvttz was at an Airbnb in Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood, filming a music video for his latest track, Watts. The video shoot was energetic and intense, reflecting the raw emotions in his lyrics. But just hours later, tragedy struck. As C. High left the Airbnb to film another scene, two gunmen approached his vehicle, firing multiple shots. He was hit twice in the chest and rushed to a nearby hospital. Despite emergency efforts, he was pronounced dead at 2:30 a.m., another life lost to the violence he often rapped about.
Hours after fans gathered in Canarsie to remember murdered drill rapper T.Dot Wu, another aspiring rapper, was also shot and killed in Brooklyn. His grieving father spoke exclusively to Fox 5.
Our first reaction was, he's a strong boy, he gonna make through. He gonna be all right. But then I was at 2 o'clock. Then 2:39, I received another call, which was from a doctor. She told me my son was dead.
A heartbroken Perry Williams spoke with me from his car after identifying his son's body. 18-year-old Jaquan McKinley, whose rap name was Chii Wvttz, was pursuing a drill music career on social media and streaming platforms, but there was hard competition from the streets. His dad says he was no saint, but should not have died like this.
Our hip-hop is no longer hip-hop anymore. And now, if you're not doing drill, you're not going to get no play.
2% rise in shootings last month. More than the music itself, NYPD says it's the taunting and dissing in the lyrics that are rapped and posted on social media that fuel the violence.
Following C. High's death, New York City Mayor Eric Adams criticized drill music, calling it a challenge that spills from lyrics into real-world violence.
I had no idea what drill rapping was, but I called my son and he sent me some videos, and it is alarming.
The genre's raw portrayal of street life has sparked debates over whether it glorifies conflict or simply reflects it. But for artists like C. High, drill music was more than just entertainment. It was a platform to tell their stories and shed light on the struggles faced by their communities. C. Wvttz' life was a testament to the potential within communities often overlooked. His music resonated with fans, but his story is also a sobering reminder of the cost of street violence. As his father said, drill is the devil's music, but others argue that it's the system, not the genre, that fails young people like C. High. While his life was cut tragically short, his story continues to spark conversations about the role of music, community, and systemic change in preventing further loss. This life is not glorified, and if you are thinking about getting into this lifestyle, I will advise you to not, because it only leads to two things: death or jail. Rest in peace, C. Wvttz.